I believe that the thing that most people are misunderstanding about these critiques isn't that I'm disappointed in how the season has went. I'm not disappointed in the fact that this is a team that is going to win somewhere in the mid 40s for games, finish somewhere between fifth and eighth place, depending on how the last quarter of the season goes. That's not where the disappointment lies, because that's a great progression. That's an awesome progression. But typically, when we're talking about teams that are inherently flawed like this, the teams that are doing well against the bad teams but can't quite make that step up and beat those teams and be competitive and win playoff series and things like that, we're typically talking about young developmental teams who have like future flexibility coming up, and they're going to be able to add, and guys haven't been paid yet. And like this is like on the precipice of something more. This Raptors team isn't that. This is one of the more expensive teams in basketball. This is one of the teams with one of the longest extended cap sheets of any team in basketball. We're locked into more financial money over the next 3 to 4 years than most teams in the NBA. We have less financial flexibility than almost any team in the NBA at this point, based off the long-term contracts that we have. We have a Jakob deal, which is underwater, no question, and it's long-term. The Quickly deal is underwater in terms of like an asset return and recoup kind of view. The Scottie Barnes contract is a good contract, but it's a max deal. That's the top of the market. The Brandon Ingram contract is, it's a bit underwater, like no question. I know he was an all-star this year, but this is an inherently flawed player with a track record of injuries. He's obviously been healthy this year, but $40 million per year for 3 years is the absolute top end of that marketplace. It's not a value deal. RJ Barrett at 27.3 this year and essentially 29 next year, and then needing to be paid again. It's not a value contract for a flawed player. And guys like RJ Barrett right now, their value on the market is minimal. Guys that are really good offensive players, but not great offensive players, who don't play defense, who play the wing, go look at what the contract values are that they're receiving in free agency right now. It's minimal. So the Barrett deal is an underwater contract. We have a guy like Mamu who's on a reasonable deal, but that player option will be ripped up and he'll go extend that money somewhere else. We do not have financial flexibility going forward. The issue is that this roster construction and the personnel doesn't make sense with the scheme. This roster construction in general doesn't make sense for any scheme. And there's no real ways to capitalize, improve, or add to the depth or the quality of the roster as it is. And that's why we were looking at like consolidation trades to bring back other bad or flawed players, bad contracts or flawed players. That's where the disappointment lies, is we're not talking about a young developmental team. We're talking about a team who is locked in financially with a mediocre drafting record outside of Murray Boyles and Shed, and kind of like a unclear direction in terms of what they want to do or how they want to approach their timeline. That's where the disappointment, that's where the frustration comes in. It's not about this season, it's about what the future holds.